What is the longest stop motion animation movie?
Merry Christmas, everyone. This is been there, seen that, or my big bad glass review, where we talk about movies and it's into a little bit of depth. We go into like a little deep dive, a little shallow dive. As always, try to get that mixed up. But so today, my sister's going to talk. We're going to talk about Pinocchio today. But Merry Christmas from Chiang Mai, Thailand. Today is Christmas for us, and by the time you see this, of course, it'll probably be far past everybody's Christmas. But Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope you all have a great 2023. And today we're going to be talking about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio on Netflix, 2022.
All right, so I watched it the other night and I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. It's definitely not for children. I would not necessarily, my kids are older, but I would not have my children watch the film. I just think it was a little dark for children.
You wouldn't let your 17-year-olds watch that movie?
I mean, yeah, now, but if they were younger, like 7, I mean, I guess I'd let them watch it. Like I would not allow them to watch it, but I don't know if they would enjoy it as much as maybe an adult would. I really felt like it was a movie meant for adults, not for children. The themes were they're very dark. They're very dark themes. I definitely cried at the end. It was very sad. It was a very sad film, but very well done. I mean, it was very, very heartbreaking, but I did enjoy it. I mean, I don't know a lot about this. What is it called? The
Adventures of Pinocchio?
No, the way it was filmed.
Stop motion. The first movie I ever made in college was a stop motion.
Yeah.
So I know, and it works really well, even with my cheap little 8mm. Well, actually, it wasn't cheap. It was fairly pricey, but I didn't got it from the department, and yeah, and it worked out great. I mean, stop motion is an amazing thing. I mean, almost anybody can do it if you just take the time. That's the time. It's the time consumption.
Yeah,
I think it took them.
Yeah, I mean,
a couple of years to do this.
I'm not a huge fan of stop motion, but I appreciate the artistry behind it and the time and the patience. I did not like the fact that there was music in it. I'm a musical theater person. I didn't actually like that there was some music in it. I thought that they could have just cut that part out. But other than that, I thought it was an interesting take on Pinocchio. Again, we used to call this site or this YouTube channel, what was it? Film for Dummies.
Film for Dummies.
Me, because like I'm kind of like I just like watch film for the entertainment value. I don't really look into the depth of the film and what goes behind it. So just from an entertainment perspective, it was fun to watch. But as far as political and all that kind of stuff, I don't really have much to say. It was kind of a fun movie for me as a person that likes to watch that kind of, just to watch it for entertainment purposes. Thought it was good, but depressing. And that's kind of like it for the dummy. So.
Well, I thought it was brilliant. I think it's a masterpiece in stop motion photography and every which way. I like stop motion because I've been a a few film buffs out there are going to get on me. Harry Hanhausen, I can't remember his name, but he was he did like the Sinbad movies. We're talking from the 60s and 50s, Jason and the Argonauts. It was all stop motion type stuff he used to do. So he was a very famous special effects guy back in the 60s and into the early 70s. So I've always loved that stuff. And it goes back to the beginning of film because it's the easiest, but also the most artful thing you can do with film. And as Guillermo del Toro said, he said it's the closest thing to live action because you're using real sets, you're using the tracking shots. You don't do any of that stuff in animation. It's all like cells and drawing it and everything. So this is a closest thing to live action as you can get, but still being animated. And I thought they did a brilliant job. And if you watch the little, if you're interested in the movie, if you thought it was really great, they give in how it was made. But Netflix has like a 30-minute how it was made video, which is amazing. And they show you like certain scenes, like where the cricket talks in his ear, the head's like gigantic. They make different size heads. You know, they have different size crickets, different size heads, you know, from small to big, depending on the scene, right? But it all matched perfectly. And it was made in like two major studios. It was in one was in I think it was in Bend, Oregon, and the other is in Guadalajara, where Guillermo del Toro is from. This is like the 12th movie of Guillermo del Toro. I think it's his 12th movie. So it's I've always been a fan, you know, Hellraiser. He loves the dark, he loves the dark, let's just say that. But he said this was the second movie. I think he said he saw it when he was 3 years old. And it stuck with him all of his life. He's always been, you know, he collects Pinocchio stuff. Pinocchio, they've made over 12 Pinocchio, probably at least as many movies as Guillermo del Toro's made. They've made at least 12 Pinocchio movies. Even Pinocchio Goes to Outer Space.
Never heard of that one.
I think even X-rated Pinocchio. So you can imagine how delightful that is. So it's been made a lot. And as one guy said, why are they making it? Says, I don't want to ever see another Pinocchio movie again. But it certainly was, to me, it was this, I mean, I tried watching the Tom Hanks version on Disney Channel. I couldn't make it 5 minutes. I said, I got to turn this trash off. But the original 1940 version, now it comes from 1883. Carlo Collodi, which was his pen name, was an Italian humorist. They call him a humorist. Wrote the Adventures of Pinocchio. So it basically, you know, the original Disney version of 1940 follows the plot line pretty close to the book, right? But you know, Guillermo del Toro has, you know, he's you know, he likes to take the, you know, look at the political side and look at, you know, he's basically a foreign director. He's Mexican. So he, you know, the foreign directors are much better at this kind of stuff, like I always say, about finding the meat of the themes, you know, the deep themes. So
yeah, I
remember as when I was probably in my late 20s, I broke up with this girl. I was living in Hollywood, so I was a little blue, so I walked out in the street, smoked a joint, and then I was walking down the street. I saw the marquee, Pinocchio. 1940, you know, Walt Disney's Pinocchio. And I go, well, I'm a little blue. I think I'll go see a movie. So I hadn't seen Pinocchio since I was a little kid myself, right? So I walked in, watched it. I go, oh my God, what a great movie. You know, and I said, man, this is a little bit dark. This is a little bit, there's a bit of darkness to this movie, right? And even the Disney version. So Guillermo del Toro, so he said, hold my beer. I'm going to take it to another level, right? So I didn't know what, I mean, he kept me going all the way through because I didn't really know, you know, the kid dying at the beginning and then the tree and then the wood becoming the puppet, you know, all that stuff, all the way to the end, you know, where he just goes off. We don't know if he's immortal or not, right? But I love the themes because the themes, you know, what is the basic theme is the, being, you know, society trying to control you, right? You know, he's a puppet who doesn't want to be a puppet, right? And, you know, the puppet without strings. And, you know, he's got the parents trying to control him. The government tries to control him. In this case, the fascists, the church trying to control him. So, you know, and he constantly, he doesn't really, like in the original, he tries to conform. So I'm trying to say, he tries to, I'm talking about the Pinocchio, the Disney version, he tries to conform to be set free, right? Whereas this one, he doesn't really want to conform. And every time he does try to conform, he gets in trouble for it, right? Something bad happens. So, and the whole movie goes like that. But I was amazed, what amazed me is besides the stop motion, was the actors who played these parts. You know, Ewan McGregor is the cricket, unbelievable. Do you know who played, in fact, that's our question for the week. No, I'm not going to make that question.
No, no,
Well,
make a
I'll
question.
have.
I won't know
Oh,
the answer, so
okay. I'll tell you at the end. Then, who played the Spazzatura, the monkey? Who was the actor?
I do
All
not.
right. I will tell you at the end of our reel who the actor was. Okay, so all of them were great, and the characters are interesting. They kept the cast down pretty well. You had Candlewick, the boy, right? He's always being tempted, it seems like, by that even in the original, that was the thing. It was the big one was this, he wants to conform, but at the same time he's being tempted, right? The original Pinocchio. But in this one, he seems to be tempted, but to do the right thing. Like he goes off with that the count, in the show, because he wants to please his father, wants to help his father with the money, right? And then that all goes bad. So it's like, he's trying to do the right thing, but every time he tries to do the right thing, it seems to go bad. It seems to be a common theme, right? It goes all the way back to the mist. you think you're doing the right thing, but you're not, right? So, but then there was the Christ symbolism, a lot of Christ symbolism in this movie, with the church and then Pinocchio comparing himself to Christ, and then the rebirth. He's reborn from the soul of the little boy. Then then he dies, and then he's reborn again. Then he dies, and he's reborn. It just keeps going on and on with the rebirth stuff, right? With the rebirth symbolism. So, I don't know. I just thought it was just one of those, just a great film. And I'm a Guillermo del Toro fan, so I just love his work. But another thing that's interesting about it was parallels to Frankenstein, and del Toro even talks about that, how when he saw it, or over time as he's watched it over and over again. I guess he's an authority on Pinocchio, right? That he saw the comparison between Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Pinocchio. You get the creator who creates this thing, and then the thing is alive, and now it's trying to figure out how to make it in the world, and to be to make everybody happy somehow, and figure out what it's all about, to make the creator happy. And it usually doesn't go well. But in this case, it does have I thought it had an upbeat ending. So even though you said it was sad, it was very sad. And I love that. It was, but that's the way, did you ever see, I think it was called Mother. I think that was Guillermo del Toro. Did you ever see that movie? Horror movie?
Yeah, but I don't remember anything about it.
Oh, it's the same. I call it Chaplin-esque, Charlie Chaplin, because he loves to do the bittersweet.
Yeah.
The bittersweet endings, right? You're a little bit happy, but at the same time, you're a little bit sad.
Yeah. No, I do remember that film. No, I mean, you're talking about all this stuff again. That's why we should probably change the name of our channel again back to something about dummies. Because again, all of those things, now I see it now that you're talking about it, because you're like the expert.
Yeah, not an expert,
but I just have a different take. My take was a little different, that I saw it from Geppetto's point of view. And to me, the more the theme was about loss and him trying to make his adopted or whatever, his new son into something that he's not. And a lot of parents do that with their children and try to
exactly right. That's an exact theme also. Yes. I mean,
I related more to that. Like, I don't do that with my kids, but I see it with so many parents.
Oh,
where
yes.
they have an expectation of their children and trying to make them fit into this mold. And at the end, he sort of finally accepts Pinocchio for who he is. And I thought that was such a beautiful message for parents, to accept their children for who they are. I mean, especially now. I mean, people transgender and gay and
right. Well, that's what I said. I said obedience and conformity was the main theme.
Yeah.
And that's what you just said. And I said parents first trying to conform their children, and then the government, and then the church, and then in this case, I didn't even talk about the military, right? and he goes, and instead of the land of toys, I think it's called in the Pinocchio story, he ends up in a military camp having to fight a war because they think of him as immortal, so he'd be like the perfect soldier, right?
Yeah.
So they wanted to conform, and he was perfectly happy to conform to that, which is kind of funny, right? You know, it was his friend who was the bully, then became his friend Candlewick, who was having the issues with it, and who was scared, to death. Whereas Pinocchio is like, I'll just die again and I'll come back, I guess, right? So, but again, it's about conforming, and every time he conformed, obedience and conformity can be destructive. Instead of being just a free person and doing, now again, I don't know if that's a good philosophy or not. I'm just saying that's the philosophy of the movie, right? I mean, sometimes children need guidance and the cricket was there to give him guidance. That was his job. Did he do a good job? Did the cricket, as his conscience, do a good job? I don't think he did a great job. I think he made a real strong effort, right? He was a bit of a failure at it. And then they even lose touch there for a great length of time. He's like more of a comfort to the old man than he was to the puppet, right?
Yeah.
But in general, I thought I could never, even though I knew the Pinocchio story pretty well, could never second guess that movie. You don't know what's going to happen next,
Right.
I thought the music with the cricket was fine. It wasn't like it was a musical. It was just he just decided he's gonna sing because that's the cricket style. Because crickets do sing, right?
They
you hear him at night singing away every night. So I thought, and then this one just happened to put words to it. So I thought it was, nothing catchy. Like I said, it wasn't supposed to be a musical or anything. So, but all these great actors, Christopher Waltz is the Count, right? He's just such a perfect voice for that character. Tilda Swinton as the spirits, the wood spirit and Death, right? Her sister. It's just on and on. These guys are fantastic. So I don't know much more else I could say. I just highly recommend it. I give it a full glass, 100%. The dummy, I don't know what. Speaking of puppets, I don't know what she would give it. What would you give it?
Oh, full glass.
Okay, so we both give it a full glass, 100%. It is like one of the great, stop motion, probably one of the greatest stop motion. That, and I liked the Wes Anderson one, Mr. Fox, like with I can't remember the whole name of the movie, but that was a great movie, stop motion also. And evidently the guy who worked on that was working on this one too, and he was like a advisor and all that stuff. So, and it took years. This movie took 15 years to make. It was in development hell for 15 years.
But it was in development, but they didn't start filming until
just recently. Yeah, but the thing is, you do the scripts and la 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 la. And then it takes time. I started reading a little bit of the script because I like reading screenplays, and it's exactly like the movie. It's amazing. It's just real plain, easy to read. It just followed along. But it helps to have I've seen the movie also to see where they're going. So I'm sure he's had to spend a lot of time trying to sell. Well, that's the thing. He kept getting dropped by our studios. They didn't want to film it. And because it's going to cost too much, and they thought, oh, what the hell we want to do another Pinocchio for? Which, of course, in most people's minds, right? This is at the top of anybody who's giving out the money. Go, what the hell do I want to see another Pinocchio movie for? So he had to really put the hard sell on it, right? And of course, he has a great reputation. So I guess eventually then Netflix came in and took over. So Netflix has got a lot of cash, I guess, laying around.
Yay, Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix, because this is a great movie just to have on TV. I mean, it's amazing. Now, when I've gone to the theater, I was watching Tarantino talk about this. We don't go to the theaters anymore because we have, we got the big screens at home. It's got to be really special. So, which will bring us to our next movie that we'll be talking about, Avatar, talking about special, right? So,
Uh-huh.
so anyway, that's as much as I got to say. 100% full glass. See it. It's a great movie. The kids, if you got an intelligent child, I'm sure they'll love it too. And the answer to the question, who was the monkey?
Don't know.
Kate Blanchett played the monkey.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Never guessed
She
that. Not
she
1,000
she
years.
in 1,000 years. She was in another one of his movies. I can't even think of which one it was recently. And oh yeah, the one Nightmare Alley, right? That one. That was yeah, you want to get depressed, watch that movie. That's a tough movie to watch. Kate Blanchett, yeah, she said, I'll do, she loved Guillermo del Toro, said, I'll do anything for you. I'll, and he said, okay, I got a part for you. It's just the monkey, which is so funny, right?
I mean, she really could do anything though. She is
Yeah,
pretty
it's great. But they always told me, it says there are no small parts, just small actors.
true.
Right, because you can then that becomes a problem. I mean, now we're gonna get into acting philosophy. That can become a problem too, because you could be so good, you'll just like you get this teeny little part, and you're like, everybody's like, wow, that's great, and just everybody, all the leads are like blown off the stage or whatever, right? It just throws the whole show out of balance. But she did it. She blended in perfectly, right?
I mean, that's been my problem all the years that I've been acting. So yes, I believe
just blowing everybody off the stage. Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the end of our show of shows this today. And thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to all.
Guillermo del Toro's 2022 Pinocchio is the longest stop animation movie in movie history.